This is going to be my response for response assignment number 5, Music Ethics in Global Markets. Starting off, what does this quotation mean in your own words? Tim Taylor writes, "These and other Western star musicians employ other common discourses about the musicians with whom they worked and the musics they appropriated or collaborated with. The dominant ideology and discourse are that non-Western musics are a kind of natural resource that is available for the taking. Though these acts of appropriation are frequently tempered by the Western star's appearance alongside the non-Western musicians in publicity photographs, on recordings, and in liner quotes or notes." What I'm taking from this is that a lot of the Western musicians took elements from the non-Western music without really acknowledging the origins or who made it or what specific, area it's from. And they're talking about how it's just free for the taking, and that they just exploit the fact that it's free, and they use it for their own gain without really understanding or crediting anything of where it comes from. And the most important part is that they're not compensating the original owners of this sound. And that is my interpretation. Number 2, how does the Graceland example fit in with what Tim Taylor is talking about here? So if you look at the main ideology, we just really see that Paul Simon really just takes all of the key resources in these areas, the music and all that, and just implements it into a song. He almost rips it off. If you look at the history of The Lion Sleeps Tonight, the original song owner, he died a very poor man. He didn't even get royalties in the midst of the hype for his song. He just got it when it was really late into the future, which really sucks. If you look at the raw material, a lot of the notes, the rhythm, everything is pretty much the same song. It's just in English. And then if you look at Simon and the way that he creates Graceland, he kind of frames it as an act of discovery, which kind of gives me a vibe that he was a Western explorer who found something like he discovered it, when really they were already making their own music. They were fine people, and he just comes over and rips it off. So in my opinion, it's not really appropriation or collaboration. He's just sampling it and taking it for his own. And that's how it fits into the first quote. And then when you think of another time that musicians with different power positions are part of musical performance or recording, I'm going to use the same song. I'm going to use The Lion Sleeps Tonight. So again, if you really look at the history of it, the original song called Mubube in 1939 by South African Solomon Linda, it was a very successful cover globally. It was used in Disney's The Lion King, and he had the rights. He signed the rights over for a very small amount of money, and this is a very rough spot that he was put in. Later in the story, you can see all of his heirs sue and secure some agreements, I think in the late 80s and onwards. When you move towards if it is appropriation, collaboration, or sampling, I believe it was sampling, and then towards the end it was collaboration, because it took them. So if the song was made in 1939 and they started only receiving money in the late 80s, that is close to 40 years where they're not getting any compensation for their music, which is wrong in my opinion, and where some other face is getting all the fame and notoriety. When you look at the positionalities in terms of race, gender, country, origin, he is from Africa, South Africa. He is a black, poor man, which played into the power dynamic when it comes to the music. Paul Simon, in the Graceland example, he just comes over, he takes it for his own, all the sampling, and then he turns it into his own fame. And so in my opinion, what he did was very wrong. And the fact that they had to sue to get what was already theirs is even more messed up. And so in my opinion, if you look at the power dynamic, it was extremely skewed towards Paul Simon and the Graceland, and the album becoming his instead of the original owners, which in my opinion is wrong and shouldn't have ever happened. And so I need a reference and cite some sources. The sites that so what I used was the Tim Taylor Music and Capitalism, and I believe it was on page 95 to 98 is where I got a lot of the information from The Lion Sleep Tonight. And then also I was looking on Wikipedia on Solomon Linda, like his exact page, and in there it talks about how he had to sign over the copyright at the early 40s for a very small sum of money. And so those are all my sites, and those are my 3 answers.